Good morning, everyone. We're out here working on the fence line so that the herd of Highland cattle can move on to new ground. Some of the new ground has been grazed more recently than I'd like, but it's important that the cows have access to shade today. It's getting warmer and warmer. And so they're going to be going over here where they actually do have a decent amount of grass, and they'll have shade. I'm going to pause this while I fix the fence. We've got some crooked posts, some gates that need to be closed, and then we can move the cows. Alright, gate is closed, which wouldn't be a big deal except that it's nice that I actually knew where the handles were. And so as we're walking, we can see that this is ground that has been grazed before relatively recently, and that the grass is growing back on. This area is there's always a lot of really short grasses right here. There's a lot of rocks and the soil composition is a little different. Alright, so I'm just putting this fence post in. A lot of people have described my electric fencing system as way more intense than anything they've ever seen. The fence is divided, the fields are divided into a number of paddocks, and perimeter fencing is rebar with steel wire. And I find that that's necessary for keeping the cattle in, but also it's not even so much that they want to get out as they use the fence posts as scratching posts. Yes, the fence is on when they're doing this. Don't ask me. And so they knock the fence over. So having rebar for fence posts is a lot nicer than having the flimsy plastic fence posts, because I've seen the cows snap those in half many a time. So I'm just tightening up the insulators, and I'm probably going to pull this one out and place it back in. So give me a second. So this very crooked fence post is not part of the paddock. The cows will be on today, but the fact that it's falling over means that it could continue to fall over, and then the fence would wind up on the ground and short out. So we're just going to slide it back in, or we're going to drop it. Okay, back to walking around to the cows. And so as I'm walking around, you see, or I hope you can see in the video, different grass heights. And we look here, we see that the cows have not been on this grass, except for one night when they got loose earlier. But the cows have not been grazing this grass consistently, the grass to our right. They've been grazing the grass to our left, or they have in the past. And the rotational grazing is really important for a lot of reasons. Moving the cows from paddock to paddock to ensure that they don't overgraze, to ensure that they don't overcompact the soil. But this year we're also really emphasizing bird health. The obligate field birds are often driven away, no matter what size your farm is. I'd love to say that this is some industrial farm problem, and it's not. It is a problem for all sized farms that have grazing animals, in particular larger grazing animals like cattle, at least in the northeast. I don't know as much about the nesting dates of field birds in other places, but so around here, our field birds are nesting until about July 15th. There's some wiggle room on that, and climate change is altering a lot of things. And I understand an ornithologist might tell me I'm bumping up the date a little bit too much, that they're also hanging out in the nests later. July 15th is the date we go by on this farm, in part because we are trying to balance the needs of the cattle and the birds. And so if July 15th, 75% of the field birds have fledged, then that has to be the balance we strike right now. I would love to be able to have it be 100% of the field birds have left their nest, but that's not always the way it goes. But so what I'm doing right now is I am looking for a nest that we had found earlier. Ah, here we go. All right, so this nest here I found, gosh, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And this nest has not had any visible bird activity. I did not allow the cows onto the strip where the nest is, but the cows were grazing nearby, and I was really active there. I do not know, genuinely, it being the end of May, if that was a new bird nest, or if that was an old bird nest that had already been abandoned. So did someone either lay eggs, the babies hatched, and everything's good, or did somebody elect not to keep using that nest because of the cattle and human activity? I don't know. I thought at first it was a redwing nest, but I'm also concerned it was a bobolink nest, which would explain the nesting and no eggs, you know, the abandonment, because bobolinks return to these fields around May 11th, and redwings return to these fields around March 11th. So, could have been a brand new bobolink nest, could have been an older redwing nest. I am not yet able to tell the difference despite my research. But let's focus on the cows now. Hello, handsome. This is Theodore. He's one of our big bulls. Hi. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to take a screenshot of this. You're so handsome. You're ready for your new grass? Okay. Let's fix this fence. There we go. Fix this post. Just drive that in a little bit. Is that a... No, okay, you're fine. So another advantage to rotationally grazing the cattle is simply that I see the cattle every day. I'm constantly with them. And that's more important than I think people realize, because it can allow me to watch their health. Of course, we get to know each other. We get to be friendly. I can see, oh, did someone get injured? Did someone scratch up against a fence post and get it cut? Which in the summer could be pretty dangerous. You could get an infection. You could get fly strike. Anyone who's pregnant can just be monitored. Anyone who's nursing, like Fearless here, can also be monitored, because even with the abundant green grass of the summer, sometimes the babies just strip you out. And so I've been watching Miss Fearless here, because I feel like she's a little thinner than I need. So they've got a salt lick, and they've got fresh grass, and they'll have fresh water. So they have pretty much everything I can provide, but we still check. This is Estrella, and this is Ferdinand, who just came back. She was across the street. There we go. Just came back yesterday. That's Galadriel and Senna. This is Emma, who's going to want a pat. Good girl. This is Elsa. Yeah, you look at the camera, pretty girl. Okay, I'm going to move on. Sorry, sweetie. That's Peanut Butter, and that's his mom, Fern. I'm not going to go through all the family relations with you right now. I know exactly who's related to who and how, but we're not doing that today because the cows want food. This is Carl, that big boy with the nice handsome neck he's showing off. And Opa. This is Chicory, one of Oprah's daughters. That's Honeydew. I said I wasn't going to do family traits, but or family relations, but Honeydew is Chicory's sister. Clover, daughter Willow. This is Periwinkle. This is Evie. Evie, look at the camera. No? Okay. And these are our young uns this year. This is Marigold. This is Bubba. And that's Meadow. Ah! That's all the Highlanders this year. So far. There's a couple who are pregnant, but... Oh, look at you two. Mama and daughter, you beautiful. Alright, so there's always lots more to talk about, but I am going to set the camera up on a stand so that you guys can watch me move the cows. Alright, gang, shall we just go for lowering the fence today? Shall we make it easy on ourselves? Look at that, you got the grass. That bird nest hasn't been touched, so hopefully nobody's coming back to it. Remember, try to lift your feet high. Do not tangle the fence. And that's it. I have to feed some hungry piggies, So it'll be a couple hours before I get their water trough under the fence and over with the herd. But they've had access to water all morning. It's about 8 a.m. right now. And now they have shade, they have fresh grass. The grass has dew on it, so they'll be completely comfortable without drinking water for a little while. I promise. Even the nursing moms, they're okay right now. All right, I'm gonna finish up a couple of fence alterations and head out. Thank you for watching.